Hi, everybody, and welcome to Backstage Business, a community for digital media entrepreneurs. My guest today is Nate Cash. Nate is the supervising director for the hit Cartoon Network show Adventure Time. Adventure Time's been on the Cartoon Network since 2010, and as of March 2013, it's been viewed approximately 2 to 3 million times a week. Adventure Time's also been nominated for 3 Annie Awards, 3 Primetime Emmy Awards, and a Sundance Film Festival Award. So, Nate, welcome to the show.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks for having me, Don.
Yeah, it's great to have you here. Now, Nate, we've known each other for a long time. We met back in Mr. Wood's commercial art class back in high school. So, a little shout out to Mr. Wood there. But,
yeah.
Can you tell the audience a little bit about your journey going from this high school commercial art class, all the way up to now where you're the supervising director for a primetime animated television show?
Yeah. I think it just started off with always knowing that I wanted to do art as my career, just at an early age, just telling my parents that, that's what I'm going to do, and just having the support from your family is huge, and just making that decision and treating art like something that I wanted to make a living at a young age, I think was big. So by the time I'd gotten to Mr. Wood's class, it was just amazing. He was our teacher when we were seniors.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just he was amazing. He was a great art teacher, and he really nurtured that that you can do art for a living.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, just I think just the motivation of taking that, taking that, not giving up on it.
So then after high school, which direction did you go in? I mean, you knew that you wanted to do art. You had the support from your family. It sounds like you had the support from your teachers, but what do you do next?
Well, that took a while. Actually, it took a few years of not really getting anywhere and kind of, feeling like it wasn't going to happen, and getting a resurgence of feeling like, no, I'm going to make it happen. So the big step for me was getting a job just doing Nintendo Game Boy games in Salt Lake.
Mm-hmm.
And actually my friend Thurop, our friend Thurop,
Yeah.
got a job there too, so it was really cool to get that. Getting paid for art was a huge step.
It's happening. Yeah.
Yeah. It was when I don't know if I finished it, but Tony Hawk had a biography he put out, and he mentioned that the first time he wrote his profession as skateboarder on when he was getting the passport or something, it was huge for him.
Uh-huh.
And it was cool to read that, because I did the same thing. Like, the first time I had to fill out some some dumb form where they asked what your profession was, I was like, oh, I finally get to do it.
Yeah.
I get to write artist. So that was huge, getting that video game job. And it was actually, before I got that job, Mr. Wood had been telling me about CalArts in Valencia as just being. He said, it's a really hard school to get into, but if you do, you're set for life. So. And he said it's really expensive, but that's a surefire way if you're able to do it. So I had that in my mind from high school, this school, CalArts, and I didn't pursue that directly. But after I got, after high school, a few years after high school, Therap and I together went and applied at CalArts and a bunch of other schools, and we got rejected. Both of us got rejected in the same year, and then
how did that feel? I mean, it's like you've got this job, and you've got the target to get into CalArts. People have been talking about CalArts. Now you think, okay, well, now I've got a shot, and then how did that feel? And what did you do?
It was a big bummer, and it was before I got the video game job.
Oh, okay.
So that was kind of a bigger bummer, because kind of made a go for it, gonna make it happen, and it didn't happen. But then just the momentum of doing that, I think, led me to being like, no, I gotta do something. And I saw an ad for that video game job and classified ads, and then so that gave me the motivation to take the portfolio I'd prepared for CalArts and take it to them. So it's all, I don't know, I think for people coming up, it's good to know that, there's going to be a lot of disappointment where you think like, all your effort is in vain, but, in the long run, the things that you prepare for something that doesn't happen is going to better prepare you for the next thing down the road. That might be the thing that gets you what you want.
Yeah, and I've heard that story several times from friends that went to CalArts that now have really high-profile animation jobs they didn't get in their first year, or maybe not even their first 2 years.
Yeah.
So
and it's good awesome to hear. Yeah, even J.G. Quintel, the creator of Regular Show, I think he applied more than twice and got rejected. And then instantly, well, not instantly. I mean, he also like, came up and learned along the way. But it's just good to know that rejection isn't necessarily something that you can build from.
Yeah, yeah. And so then
this is a motivational series, right?
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Well, there's a lot of people in the audience that are trying to figure out what they want to do, or they're on the path, but they might be, shifting gears a little bit. And so it's great to hear advice from successful people on the inside that, give them encouragement, give them motivation and tips to, maybe some pitfalls to avoid and that kind of thing. But I think a lot of people out there can definitely relate to your story. And so now you get into CalArts, and then what's that like?
It was amazing. It was like, because I hadn't really gone to college before that, so the whole college experience was awesome, and just being surrounded by so many other artists was crazy. Which I guess now that's kind of what the internet is, but for me, like the internet was just within like a year of the internet becoming a thing, I got into CalArts, so I hadn't really even played with the internet very much and known other artists and being like having, besides Mr. Wood's class and the, Thurup and you and a few other people that really took art seriously, it was cool to just be surrounded by giant,
Was it overwhelming at all though? Because now you're kind of
a little
big leagues and...
Yeah, it was intimidating for sure. But I think that was a great motivator too. I was just like, and especially seeing other people who weren't really applying themselves very much, or like, because it's a crazy expensive school, and I didn't have. I was writing almost completely on student loans, so I felt the pressure really hard to really make something of this, because I pretty much signed myself into a hole of debt, and that. That was a big motivator for me too. Is just like the panic of like, I got to make this happen, and
Yeah, and as we talked about before, another mutual friend, Matt, who went to CalArts, he was telling me how he felt like he was committing financial suicide taking out the loan. But, now he's at Pixar and doing well. But But even my oh, go ahead.
Oh no, yeah. At the time, actually, my first day of class, they got everybody that got accepted that year, and they're like, it felt like the first sentence out of the director of the program's mouth was like, the industry is in turmoil. None of you will get jobs, but stick in there, and so that again another motivator. Like, holy crap! Like, why didn't they tell me that before?
Right.
Before they took my money.
A little extra motivation.
Yeah.
And then from graduating CalArts, where did you go from there?
I never graduated, actually. Oh. I went there for a year, and my first year student film. Every year they take a selection of student films and play them at this awesome theater in North Hollywood. It's the Academy building where they do some of the Emmy stuff, but they invite all a bunch of people from the industry just to view like the student work, and someone from Film Roman saw it and offered me a test for The Simpsons. Mm-hmm. So I took the test and got the job. So I took the next year off doing work on The Simpsons, and then during the hiatus in between seasons on The Simpsons, I went back to CalArts for half a year, to do another student film, and then back to The Simpsons. And so I kind of I got my wish because I didn't get further into debt with school. And so even that, like the hard work paid off to really, really, push myself hard for the first year, to get a job immediately. And then, and I've been working ever since. So I only went into debt 1.5 years worth of, of art school, which was nice.
Nice. And so, for those in the audience that don't quite understand your role as a supervising director, now that you are at Cartoon Network, can you kind of describe your day-to-day duties? What is it that you do on Adventure Time?
Well, I'm I'm kind of, that's a hard one to answer because I'm kind of overseeing a lot of different aspects of how a show gets made. So, like the voice actors, the storyboard artists, I'm kind of just like ushering the story through the whole process from it being an outline, and I'm not. That's a hard question.
You wear a lot of different hats. It sounds like.
Yeah, I guess that's it. It's just overseeing a lot of different aspects of each episode.
And from what I understand, the show is all hand drawn and takes about 8 months to complete just one episode.
Mm-hmm.
So, I guess with all the technology out there, why are you guys taking that approach, especially when it takes so long to do?
Because it looks so much better. It looks night and day different to me, at least. I don't know, and I feel like the audience also catches on to that. Even on The Simpsons, when they switch from coloring it on cells, where they would paint, actually every color would be painted on the back of a vinyl, a clear vinyl piece of paper, and then photographed individually. They switched to coloring it digitally, so everything on The Simpsons is still drawn traditionally with pencil, but then the color is done digitally. But even that kind of takes a little bit away from the feel of the episode.
Okay, and then in the show, there's a lot of inside jokes and a lot of inside humor, like with The Simpsons, and a lot of that's based around Dungeons and Dragons and video games and kind of geek humor in general. And how much do you think that plays a role in the success of the show? Like I said, it's an award-winning show. It's wildly popular. But how much of that do you think of those inside jokes accounts for the popularity of the show?
I think it's probably definitely a factor, but I think the what makes it popular is that those are things that Penn and the rest of us in the crew really feel passionate about. And we have our roots of our childhood in those things, and so I think even somebody who didn't grow up with those particular things kind of senses that the storylines and jokes and the characters are coming from a really honest place, more so than, I don't know, like in the back of Wizard magazine or those magazines where they have the action figure dialogue things, and it's kind of just like referencing like, G.I. Joe this and Transformers this, and like they're just referencing specific things. Like I don't ever find those things funny just because they're referencing something I'm familiar with. And I think, but the fact that it is so rooted in we're drawing inspiration from those sources is what makes it popular with other people.
So the inside jokes are based on a genuine bond you and the crew have with things in your past. I played Dungeons and Dragons with my older brother, so I totally get what you're saying. But it sounds like they're not just plugging in jokes saying, "Oh, people would get this," or this would be funny. It's like, "Oh, we feel this."
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I think that's a route that a lot of shows go down, or not shows, but just like people in general. It's just like just referencing something for the just to be like inside and in that way can fall super flat because it's nothing beyond that. But
right. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And then my last question was, the technology is changing so rapidly that it creates unprecedented opportunities for, international collaboration. From what I understand, you guys have animators around the world. Finding great talent online and around the world and in these various schools, and the audience interaction. I've seen that there's some Adventure Time wiki pages where people are contributing and following the story and kind of geeking out and having fun with that. So that creates a lot of opportunities to promote the show and engage with the fans. But it also creates unprecedented challenges. So there's the competition for our attention. Everybody's on their phones and tablets and, going through a million different YouTube videos. And so there's the competition for our attention, and other internet series that are less cost intensive, especially when one episode takes 8 months. So I see there's challenges there as well as upsides. But where do you see the business side of animation headed in the next 3 to 5 years?
Well, I think as far as finding talent, it's amazing to have that. We've found a lot of people from different countries, states, like us. We've really been able to, and especially Penn just has an eye for talent that's been amazing. The board artists he's found, because on our show, the storyboard artists are the ones who also write the episode and the dialogue, which is another distinction of Adventure Time from other shows that are script driven. It's really in the hands of the artists who are drawing the show, who are also writing the show, which is intense to find someone who's multi-talented like that. And we found people from all over. Jesse Moynihan was in Philadelphia doing a webcomic called Forming that Penn was really into, and he contacted him and asked him if he wanted to move out here to Burbank and work on the show. And Tom Herpich was in New York,
CalArts is one route, but it sounds like there's other routes to go.
Yeah, and Steve Wolfhard up in Canada. I think if you, it's awesome that people are able to just put their own personal work up on the internet, and just that can be their form of art school, and I think that for us it's awesome to be able to scout people out that way. And even with just the Skype thing, we've had people. We had a guy who was doing a couple boards for us from Germany, so we'd Skype him in to pitch the board. And before Steve Wolfhard moved down from Canada, we used to Skype in. He would send a video. He'd film his storyboard and pitch it with his phone, and then just send a video of him pitching the board. So we did kind of like a hybrid. His storyboard partner would pitch his, and then we'd play the video for the other part, and we'd bounce back and forth.
Yeah, that's amazing, and which wasn't available when you were coming up through the ranks. And it's been great. And as far as the industry goes, I'm excited to see what happens with developing things with less overhead. Kind of like I'm excited to see what happens with this Arrested Development deal through Netflix, to see what they do. Because what I've read, it sounds like there's less oversight because there's less pressure on. We have how much the budget is, so there's less less people sticking their thumb in to make, which it sounds like it's gonna be great. We'll see. Awesome.
Yeah, we'll see how. Yeah, I'm excited for that stuff. And even with Adventure Time, Frederator Studios is the one that just it was being developed through them through a deal that Frederator had with Nickelodeon. So he just found, it was just through a little bit of money to tons of people. I forget how many it was, but there's a little less oversight, and the best ones just kind of rose to the top without too much involvement from that studio, and they were able to take that over here to Cartoon, take that over here to Cartoon Network, and the internet played a huge role in that too, because when the Adventure Time pilot was posted on YouTube, it just it got huge that way, and then Cartoon Network saw the popularity of that, and also what a good fit it would be for the network.
And now you have the fan art and the whole ecosystem and the wikis and
yeah,
ways to engage with the fans and provide forums for them to interact with each other that wasn't previously available. So yeah, I agree. I think it's an exciting time as well.
Yeah.
In getting more stuff. So, do you have any last minute advice for anybody in the audience that's thinking about a career in animation or just wants to switch gears and work in the television world?
Well, I think now's just like what we were talking about. You can just do it, and when you have time, if you have another job, just do it at night. Just play with it, and experiment and do things that you. I think that's the difficult thing, is just doing things that you are genuinely excited about yourself, and not doing things that you assume other people will be into, because that gets you in this weird gray area of like, I don't know if that's making sense at all. But
yeah.
Sometimes you kind of do something, or because it feels safe. You might have seen it before, and you do a little bit of a spin on it, but really pulling from personal experience, and I guess that's just something. The more you do, the more you see that's what gets a better response out of people, is the stuff that's really coming from deep down.
Well, yeah, and it makes perfect sense. And an analogy that comes to mind is, I'm a big music junkie, and so if I see somebody with one of my favorite bands, they're wearing let's say like a David Byrne T-shirt, there's an instant connection. But if they're just wearing that because David's not on the top 40, but if he was, if it was like wearing a top 40 shirt just because it's popular, we don't really have that connection once we start talking. But if we're really both genuinely into that, then there's that instant genuine connection, and it goes a lot deeper, and then it's kind of a launching pad. So I totally get that with the the Adventure Time humor and the what you're doing there. So that's great advice.
Cool.
Well, thanks again. We appreciate you coming on the show, and look forward to talking to you again soon. Also, everybody in the audience, please be sure to go to facebook.com/backstagebusiness and become a fan of the show. And thanks again for tuning in, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks.
Thanks, Nate.